I was introduced to Dr. Shante a couple of weeks ago over on Threads, and you could tell that this woman is a wealth of knowledge. And I absolutely love it that we have so many platforms where women can tell their stories from their experiences. And in this particular video that we're going to talk about, she was talking about negging. She's Dr. Shante. She is a doctor. I haven't explored what kind of doctor, but you could tell that this woman is a wealth of knowledge. She's talking about a dating experience. And when you are dating as a woman, especially a Black woman, and you're credentialed, you have accomplishments under your belt, already men want to pull you down. And that is what she's talking about here. She's talking about negging. But one of the things that we talk about consistently in my spaces, we talk about how these men simply think that having a woman around means that they have a wife appliance, someone that is there to cook, clean, and do all of the household duties, to be the servant of the home and be the bang maid, the incubator, and all of that. They look at you as a resource to be tapped. We talk about this consistently, and it does not matter your level that you're in your career. They still expect that. A woman like Dr. Shante, and like I said, I've only been introduced to her 2 weeks ago. I am totally sure that she can outsource domestic labor. I am totally sure that if she had to spend copious hours doing these things that she can outsource, it would impact her career, and she's going to outsource it. Being partnered up is not going to automatically make her the servant of the home to this man simply because he has that expectation. And I love in this video how she handles that. So one of the things that I am happy for is women speaking on these things and giving language and giving descriptions, giving words to the experiences that we're going through. This is one of the comments that was under her post over on Threads. Empress Aquila says, having the language to describe something is so helpful. I learned this term years ago after a particularly bad date. Having the defining term gives you more power to recognize it and walk away versus stewing in confusion and feeling uncertain about if you're too sensitive, because these kinds of guys will quickly say it's just a joke and make you feel in the wrong for being offended. We're not going to allow men to use jokes and pranks as a way to bring you down 2 to 3 pegs. When you're up here, and this is something that we're going to run into quite often, especially as women are focused on themselves, we're talking about that. We're talking about pouring into ourselves, pouring into our education. We're talking about the fact that women are outnumbering men going into college. And so obviously that's going to make a big gap in the women who are graduating college versus the men that's graduating college. And this is just going to keep on compounding to the point where women are seeing these achievements in the workplace, in the universities, all of that. It's going to take a while to, keep climbing these ladders as women, but we're getting there. And so we're going to continue to see these manipulation tactics where they're trying to hammer at your self-esteem. And so that's the reason why I will continue to have these conversations in our spaces, because having the words, talking about this, gives us the opportunity to pinpoint precisely when you see that happen. And then you have Dr. Shante in her video, how she handled it so beautifully when she turned the dude down. So you definitely need to see that video. If you're on my YouTube page, I'm going to put her video at the end, but this is her caption on Threads. It says, negging is a manipulative tactic often used in dating where someone offers a backhanded compliment or makes a subtle insult to undermine another person's confidence. My experience was gendered, racialized, and deeply rooted in a power dynamic that gets triggered when a woman, especially a Black woman, displays intellectual or social capital that challenges traditional expectations of femininity or submission. Make no mistake, this was not a joke, but it told me everything that I needed to know. When she talks about this whole traditional expectations. This is something that we talk about across the board, especially since I talk to communities of women that are from different cultures, different countries of origin, and different races. This happens, and this is rooted in religion and patriarchy because they have such, gendered roles and where they expect a woman. And then now the whole manosphere and red pill situation, that's the reason why many of these talking points overlap. The Venn diagram where they're talking about these traditional expectations and femininity and submission, it's all to get women back into the kitchen in service of men. That's the reason why we will continue to talk about this. The whole negging thing, we have got to know and understand. We've got to know and understand that this is just a manipulation tactic, like she said, because if you have way too much confidence, if you have self-esteem, then you're harder to control. And their end game seems to be keeping you off your feet, keeping your self-esteem so low that you just go along to get along and do what they want and say. And we're at the point where we're trying to, combat that because we're not going along to get along. We're not dimming our light for their ego, and we're not doing this anymore. The stereotypes that they have against women that are, especially Black women, that are educated and accomplished is that we are bitter, we're mean-spirited, we're masculine, and all of that. And honestly, I'm like, I don't even know what that's rooted in, because many times the educated women, the accomplished women that I know speaks just like her, speaks like me. And I'm just like, why do they keep on trying to peg us as being masculine, mean, bitter, angry, all of these words? Is to get us to perform femininity in a way that they want us to perform femininity and not the way that we want to show up as women. I wanted to discuss a couple more comments underneath her post. Nicole B. Social says, see this on IG, and I guess the algorithm was like, here you go again. She says, I totally get it. And at this point in life, I don't even entertain low-hanging fruit conversation. I commented on a post and immediately men were asking about my sexual preference, etc. I mentioned I don't hold these discussions with strangers and got, well, you're boring, or I bet you're bad in bed, to which I said, okay. I call it the fishing game. They thought my reply would be, oh no, I'm your freak off kind of gal. But nope, straight no. And that's the thing. I like that she said the fishing game, because they want to challenge you to see if you will try to defend yourself. And I see this as well when people call me bitter, when people call me a single mother, when people say these things. I just kind of go with it and say, you're right. You just kind of go with it. Don't be baited into a conversation that you don't want to have. Like she says, low-hanging fruit conversation. Many of these men are so starved for attention and conversation. And when they do this low-hanging fruit conversation, don't bite. Don't give in to that. Jennifer says, getting negged constantly on online dating platforms is how I gave up 11 years ago and had twins by myself using an anonymous donor. It's ugly out there. So she wanted a family, she wanted children, but she was not willing to deal with the man. She jumped over that obstacle and went straight into being a single mother by choice. And I absolutely love that for her and love that she had that opportunity. People get mad at folks like her and Ebony K. Williams for skipping over the deadbeat dad dude because they're out there, or the single mother, the married single mother trope. She just went and she did it by choice. And then I wanted to get to Tua Brown Girl. She says this, and it doesn't stop at career stuff or dating either. You also can't be well-dressed, live well, and be genuinely kind and loving, embody freedom, peace, or confidence, be funny, charming, or witty at all in a single vessel, then add a marginalized component, dark-skinned, fuller body, etc., and people take the teardown attempts even further because how dare you love yourself? It's everywhere, and I'm tired. This is the reason why we as women have got to show up for other women, getting torn down simply for existing and showing up. Now I'm about to attach Dr. Shantae's video because we need to see this. We need to have this language, and we need to consistently have these conversations. Let me know what you think about all of this.
Last night I went on a walk with a friend. She and I were catching up. I hadn't seen her in a while. And she asked me about my love life, which I never talk about on this platform. But I thought this story was worthy of your consideration. I shared with her the experience that made me realize that dating apps were not for me. I had matched with this gentleman, and we were having an initial conversation, and he starts to ask me about my work. Now, because I know the scale of work that I do and the many accomplishments that has come with it, I really don't bring it up. I don't talk about it. I never lead with that. And so I keep it really general. I said, well, I'm an educator and I'm really passionate about mental health. And so he's like, oh, okay, this is great. What exactly do you teach? What level do you teach? And so I share that information, and the questions become more and more pointed to the point where I'm like, okay, we're having the work conversation. And so I provide a brief summary of the work that I do in terms of my career, my scholarship, and the platform that I have built on social media. And his response was, but can you cook a pot of greens? There's a word for this. Actually, there's a few words for this, but the word is called negging, not nagging, not N-A-G, N-E-G. Negging is backhanded compliments or seemingly playful compliments that are designed to take you down a peg, to put you in your place. And if I was a different woman, I could have laughed it off like, ha, 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 you so crazy. But I'm not that woman. And so a few things crystallized for me in that moment. Number one, love would not find me in this manner. Number two, the work that I do puts me in rooms that I would not be able to leave him in unattended, lest he say something inappropriate and then have people questioning my judgment. And number three, I could not help but wonder, would you have asked a white woman this question? Would you have asked a white woman, can you cook a pot of greens? Which I can, by the way, but that's not the point, is it? It gave me some perspective about his perception of black women, of dating a black woman, and that regardless of what I accomplished in this life, that my value would always be tied to my output, my labor, and my service, my willingness to serve. And so I will leave you with this. Be wary of anybody who looks at all that you are and sees you as a resource to be used rather than a person to be loved.
Before I start up with this woman's inbox to me, I would like to say my inboxes are open. My inboxes are chaotic. I don't always get to my inboxes because I have people on multiple platforms hitting me up. So I know people hit me up, and I do apologize for not being able to get to all of these messages, but I do get a lot. I happened to open this one up as she was typing it up, though. She says, hey, Burb, sorry to bother you, but I would like your honest opinion before I type out a story for you. And I just want to say right there, I do not mind women talking to me. It's an honor that so many women do reach out to me. So you're not bothering me. I'm just letting people know in advance that sometimes it takes me a little while to get to messages. She says, do you think I'm the a-hole for stopping talking to my male-centered daughter for 8 months because she chose her man over family? She said, I'm going to marry him and I don't care what you think. Only to find out he was cheating, moved her across the country and she's struggling. But her disrespect was so vile for years, so I put up the boundary to cut her off for the remainder of the year. He was 20, she was 24 when she married him last year, and he's dragging her, according to her siblings telling me, sorry, I don't have Reddit. Based on that small portion, this was my response. I said, you're mad, and that's a valid emotion. Some of us have to touch the stove to learn the lesson. I said, but if something happens to your child, you will have guilt eat you from the inside out. This is your decision to make, though, and I'm not sure of the answer. And from there, she decided to write up her own Am I the A-hole post to my inbox. She says, am I the a-hole for cutting off my male-centered daughter? Background. I've shared before that I come from a very broken home. My parents were addicts, and I was out of the house by 14. I ended up with an abusive older man and became a single mother. Despite everything, I raised my children with every tool I never had. I worked multiple jobs, sent them to private Christian schools, taught them multiple languages, put them in etiquette classes, piano, karate, sports debate, you name it. They grew up in the hood, but I made sure they were educated, respectful, and equipped for success. I bought each of them a car when they graduated. The issue, my oldest daughter, now 24, has always been obsessed with men. Even in high school, she would lie and sneak out, teaching her younger siblings to do the same. Still, she was valedictorian with a 4.0 GPA and a full ride to college in South Carolina. We're from Florida. She threw it all away for a white guy she met who was a heroin addict and bisexual. When her sister, her lifelong best friend, confronted her about being inappropriate at her workplace where they met, she got defensive. She dropped out of college when the relationship fell apart. I later found out that while I was working hard to provide for them, she was pretending to be someone she wasn't. I gave her tough love, asked her to pay bills when she came home, and when she refused, I told her to leave. I was working 2 to 3 jobs. I didn't raise my children to chase after men with no purpose. She eventually got on her feet doing hair and living with a roommate. Then, in December 2023, she asked me if she should move in with her new boyfriend. I said no. She should live with her sister instead. She didn't want accountability. She never liked that I sent her sister to the same college either. The marriage. In January 2024, she asked for one of my TVs for her new apartment with her boyfriend. I gave it to her. In March, she brought him to meet the family and said he wanted to take me to lunch for my birthday. At lunch, he told me he wanted to marry her. I was shocked. They had just met in November. I asked about his background. He said he didn't believe in God. That was a huge red flag for me. She's a woman of faith with great credit, a new car, everything I worked hard to set her up with. He, on the other hand, had nothing. I told them to wait a year. She didn't care. She said she'd marry him regardless. They got married at the courthouse shortly after. I later realized they rushed it just to have sex because she said she was waiting until marriage. On her wedding day, she was extremely disrespectful and toxic towards me. I even offered to help with a real wedding. She declined. After the marriage, he quit the job and started driving her car while she worked long hours and did Uber to support him. She eventually helped him get into the military, and he moved to California, isolating her further. The fallout. In March 2024, she group texted me, her husband, and his mom saying he wanted a divorce. I responded privately and reminded her, "You didn't want me in your marriage when things were good. Why involve me now?" She said she needed someone to hold him accountable. I told her, "You can't hold a grown man accountable, especially if you can't even hold yourself accountable." She later called me crying, admitted he had ghosted her, and I told her what I'd been saying all along. He's cheating. She said she needed godly advice and didn't want to talk to me. That was it. I blocked her. Where we are now. She still tries to send messages through her sister, but I've decided I will not speak to her for the rest of the year. Her husband is dragging her through it, and she's still trying to play the victim. But it's not about him, it's about her character. She lies, disrespects, and constant refusal to take accountability. I went through hell to give my kids a good life, and I won't let one of them abuse me just because we share DNA. I respected my own abusive parents more than she ever respected me. Some people just aren't good, and that's okay. I choose peace and principle over abuse and manipulation. So tell me, am I the a-hole for cutting her off? So, as I'm reading this does sound kind of a-hole-ish, or everybody sucks here for various reasons. It is out of pocket to be disrespectful to your parents, obviously. And this is the reason why we have these conversations, because sometimes the younger women, like when they're in their teens, their early 20s, they know so much. But if they don't feel like you're going to be an ear that can listen and not be judgmental, they're going to rebel. This is the age where she's rebelling, but that doesn't mean that that rebellion deserves punitive punishment. And I think that mom is trying to give her punitive punishment. She set an arbitrary deadline to punish the daughter for the rest of the year. And it sounds like she'll be willing to speak to her daughter after that punishment is dragged on through the rest of the year. But why? Why is there the daughter is reaching out? Maybe the daughter is trying to be contrite. So give her a chance to see if she would apologize and come to terms with how she has treated her mother and some of the things that she has said. But even still, when a woman is that young and looking for attention in a man, maybe that was because the love and affection she would have gotten from her dad was missing. And then, so to me, there might be some underlying situations. This mother did all that she can. She's trying to fill in the gaps for where the dad was missing or whatever that situation was. But sometimes a young girl, a young woman is still looking for that hole to be filled with male attention. And so this mom is feeling aggrieved because all that she poured in, she worked so hard to do all of these things, and to get slapped in the face proverbially by her daughter was just like, I did all of this for absolutely no reason. But I can look at it as a daughter who came from a religious background and know and understand that sometimes it is challenging to talk to your mother who is a Christian, because that mother, sometimes these women, they see sex as something to be punished or things to be punished when you don't walk in accordance with how they feel. So it, like mom right here, needs to punish her for a certain amount of time. She needs to put her daughter in a timeout. And like I said early on, like my initial conversation, if something were to happen to her 24-year-old, that guilt will eat her up from the inside out. So, like what if something happens in November and she had decided to start talking to her daughter in January? That would be hard. And like, I can't imagine, like at this particular juncture, she's basically said, my daughter is dead to me over her bad relationship choices. Give her a chance to come back from it is what I'm thinking. Give her a chance. You don't know if she has learned her lesson, because like I said, sometimes you have to touch the stove. But is she going to continue to touch the stove? Has she learned her lesson? Probe and ask some of those questions. Don't lose your whole relationship over this situation. That's what I say. You chime in and let me know what you think. Do you think the mom is the a-hole, or is the daughter the a-hole, or does everybody suck here? I was sent this post. The title alone had me laughing. The audacity of these dudes is astounding. If women had just a smidge of the audacity, we would go so far. If you had the audacity of these dudes and you just simply asked for the raise, ask for a promotion, just ask. Because this dude is asking to get put on the title of her house. These dudes have absolutely no credentials, but think that they could go out and, be a dentist, be a pilot, be the president. Just ask. Just go for the promotion. Just do it. Because like I said, this man, her boyfriend wants to go on the title. How dare you? But let's look at the post. She's 42, he's 43. She says, I have been dating my boyfriend for 4 years. I have 2 kids, a 9-year-old daughter and a 14-year-old son. He has no kids. We met through a dating app, and at the start, he pursued me, but was on the fence because he didn't really like the fact that I had kids, their baggage, and was adamant he didn't want kids of his own. So he's already trying to pull down her self-esteem and make it like he is the prize and she should be lucky because he doesn't typically date women with kids or baggage. When we met, I had been divorced since 2018, finished my degree, and I was living with my parents, getting my money and career in order to move out. Eventually, he met and came to like the kids and sort of seemed to pivot to the idea of being a stepdad, and eventually, in a couple of years, living together. He lives in an apartment with a roommate since I met him. He is very frugal and has what I consider a good amount of money saved, but will not move out until he has 20% down on top of a certain amount. It seems to me like he finds an excuse not to whenever an opportunity comes up. Last year, he started talking about buying a house or rental property on his own, and when it was clear to me we were not going to move in together anytime soon or ever, I got sick of the indecision and started looking for a house. I ended up buying my childhood house from my parents. It's a fixer-upper on me and the kids that I could afford. It's a fixer-upper for me and the kids that I could afford. He is not happy that now this restricts his options. If we are going to live together, it's basically not the house he would choose. It's an old house and he's worried it's a health hazard because the basement needs waterproofed and he's used to living in newer houses with his parents that were more well off. The house was sitting for 10 years and my dad and I were fixing it up. We've gotten into arguments because I think if he wanted to have a say in the house, he should have looked for one with me. Well, now he's saying he might want to move in with me, but he would require a 2-car garage that he would need to build. He would also want his own room. I have a garage, but it's not big enough for his 2 cars. So he wants me to put his name on the title of the house because he would be investing in the house and increasing the value. He would also expect to pay half of the mortgage for the next 10 years, and then we would own the house. I have a deal with my parents, so he would be coming in without having helped with it this past several months. I've been fixing it, pay for his garage and possibly some other things, and maybe pay $600 a month until the house is paid off in 10 years, per my agreement. I don't want this because if we break up, I wouldn't be able to afford to buy him out of the value that the house would be in the future, although it would be nice to have someone to split the bills with. I thought if we got married, this might give some more security, but he doesn't think he wants to get married because he's worried he would somehow be liable for my student loan debt. I know this isn't the case. Another point that's been bothering me is now he seems regretful that he never had his own kids, but doesn't want to leave me to find someone younger to have kids with, but also isn't sure what he wants. He just wishes he had a time machine. I'm worried he's going to string me along until I'm 50 and then dump me for someone to have kids with. And I thought about pushing for him to poop or get off the pot, but there's the title issue. This is the sticking point that I don't feel I can sign my house over to him even if he is investing in it. And I'm not even sure he would follow through with it because he keeps changing his mind. But at this point, I'm undecided. What should I do? I do not like these indecisive men. He got to this point, he's in his 40s, and he doesn't really know what he wants. That's the reason why he won't do anything. And inaction is still an action. Doing nothing, just kind of waiting for something to come along, is not a way to live. This would irk the hell out of me. Because I'm a doer. I make a decision and I get something done. I can't imagine, like, she's sitting up here like, obviously she wants to get a house, but he's just like, I'm just going to keep saving. And then she finally decides to do something. She makes a decision and she does it. And now he wants to come in and nitpick the things that she has done. And then now he might want to have a kid. What? But at first, the issue was she had kids, which is baggage. This is the absolute. Y'all, I do not like this type of man. I have kids, right? And my kids will just walk. They will go the way that they are going. They have that confidence to go. And if they go the wrong way, they just self-correct and go the right way. At least do something. You're going to get somewhere. This whole just sitting. Like, I don't like this at all. Like, be a decider, be a doer, do something. But being stagnant is annoying. I would rather try something, get it wrong, and then self-correct versus just sitting around waiting and then someone else do something and then you get to nitpick. Absolutely. Yeah, no, this is not the type of personality that I would mesh well. She's talking about what should I do? You should leave this man alone because he will leave her alone soon as something else pulls his fancy in another direction. This is where I was tagged in by Here for My Pleasure. She says he's a homosexual and is a pest who wants to nest and rest and take 50% of the equity in your house. Oh, hell no. Do not do this, not only for yourself, but also for your children. This would be financially disastrous for you. OP, he is using you as a bed warmer and an emotional support animal. You deserve better. I would invite you to go over to YouTube and watch Bourbon Bougie videos to see what your life would be like if you continue down this path. I will say it again and louder for the people in the back. You deserve better. Put this man out of your house, out of your mind, and out of your heart. Amen. That is what I'm talking about. Michael says, do not under any circumstances do this. And I guess someone underneath them made a comment and deleted it. That's why this person says, for anyone wondering, the deleted comment, they claimed the boyfriend living there for a year legally puts him on the title. All right. Ashio Diet Coke says, I'm going to finish the last sentence there. Do not do any of this. Don't marry or have children with this man. Sign over the title to a home. Add him to any, and I mean any, financial accounts you have. Nothing stops him from paying you rent or buying his own rental. If he wants a garage that bad, he can buy a modular one, and he could take that with him, as it won't become real property subject to transfer upon sale. This is not the guy for you or your kids. Amen. She did do an edit. She says, edit. Thank you for confirming that this isn't a reasonable request on his part. I am not going to put him on the title. As I said earlier, I did sort of give him the option of saying if we got married then, which he found an excuse for. I have said there's no point in even talking about living together since he might change his mind tomorrow, among other reasons that most of you have mentioned. I told him it's not happening the way he wants. The house issue does seem like it's forcing a breaking point, and there are a lot of incompatibilities that I've yet to do anything about. And she was right in the body of the post where she said this is either or get off the pot. Do something. But inactivity is still inaction, is still a decision. So I'm not doing all of, you see over 3,000 comments on this. So that's the reason why she came in for that edit. But it would be just terrible financially and for her future and for her kids' future for her to do this with this boyfriend. Absolutely not. Join the conversation. Let me know what you think. Like, comment, and share. Just for some levity, I wanted to share this man's post with y'all. This man named Act Normal says, I'm 48, single, no kids, a homeowner, 2 degrees, a good job. By now, I definitely thought I'd have a family. So I ask a question because I'm definitely meeting the wrong females in the wrong places. What's wrong with society? So number one, he's saying females. He says he has 2 degrees. But why is he capitalizing good? Why is he capitalizing society? And what does society have to do with the fact that he is failed at, dating? He says, no kids here. Put that in your back pocket. When I saw this post yesterday, it had about 750 comments. This morning, I was tagged in it again. I looked at the post. It had over 3,500 comments. People are giving it to him in the comment section, and it is hilarious. Y'all needed to see this. So BB Girl says, step 1, stop calling women females. This person says, yes, thank you. Blonde Vintage Style says, have you tried smiling more? Remember, before I go to the next page, the no kids is in your back pocket. This is what this thumb of a man looks like. Yes, he does look like a thumb or a big toe. You let me know. Does he look like a thumb or big toe? You let me know. These are some of his posts. Act Normal says, why are men no longer as obsessed as they used to be over women? So he does know how to use the word woman. And then in all cap locks, yesterday he says, broke people don't like when you talk about money because they don't have none. Remember, he has 2 degrees. And then he said, I be in my feelings over the principle, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. I just expect people to be solid and loyal like me. So when people aren't, I get offended and take it personal. I'm still learning not to, but I'm just passionate about principles and loyalty. It's the principality, Smokey. And I just took a screenshot just so we could see what he's working with. That's why I went to his page. Now let's look at some of the comments. Mason says, what's wrong? Your oldest F saying females, but claim to have ample formal education. You listed basic adult characteristics, nothing about your character, likes, wants, needs, and a mindset as a man. It's you. Terry says, didn't say anything about your personality and what you thought your faults were. Gabriel says, it's obviously society that's the problem. God damn, I almost envy someone who can have this little self-awareness. The One Trubin says your posts and replies are telling the world that you don't actually like women. This post sounds like you see marriage as an accomplishment rather than a relationship, and your list of things that should entitle me to one wife reads like a nice guy list of buttons you think you push to earn sex or something. Money, going to the gym, and sports aren't a personality. Flashing cash doesn't make you interesting. Calling women females and witches makes you seem like the child. P.S. And females, dude, learn to read the room. Mayobi took this screenshot from Act Normal back in May, and this one from Act Normal says, "Happy birthday to my oldest son, Jay. Enjoy your birthday." And if he has an oldest son, that means that there's some kids or kids that are younger than Jay. Remember, initially he said he has no kids. So was he copying and pasting, or was he just outright lying, like saying he has no kids, but forgot that he posted about his son back in May? Regardless, he sounds dumb to me. Mayobi says, "You be lying." That's probably one reason. Dr. T says, "Oop, someone called him lying. Did he mean he has no small children because his children are older?" EST says, ninjas will swear on their mama grave. Meanwhile, she be in the living room. Just be lying. DJ Bella Scratch says, "Y'all, I'ma just sit this right here. At his big age, referring to women as females, posting like this, and has the nerve, the unmitigated gall. Dare I say, sir, you are the weakest link. Goodbye. Because ain't no way you finding a good grown woman and you're in your third childhood." So here is this thumb in a hat, or big toe in a hat, holding a handful of money. Like, what grown woman is attracted to this? Except some scammers. Grand Dame says, "Old ass dusty bandit with nubby fingernails calling women females. The jokes write themselves. So I do want to call attention to his nubby fingernails." Like, this, I don't know. That is hysterical to me. I don't know why I don't know why that's so funny to me. Why are his fingernails so nubby? Why? This whole picture is terrible to me. Liberated Intro says, "I bet you also thought you were attractive." C-Sack Sarah says, "LOL, you're not owed a wife and kids." The Great Rustler says, the top G, the top potato, strongly disagrees and gives a picture of the top potato at the bottom. I love that I'm seeing a lot of women that are not having that pick-me energy anymore. They are giving these dudes the energy they deserve based on what they are putting out in the world. This man deserves no respect. He deserves no consideration. He deserves all of the energy that he is getting in these comments. And like I said, he is getting it in these comments. Join the conversation. I hope that this made you laugh. I hope that these nubby fingers made you laugh. I hope this thumb-like figure made you laugh. Let me know what you think. Like, comment, and share.